Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers. Good morning, viewers. It is 7 a.m. on Thursday, the 8th of December, 2022, as we get closer to the Christmas celebrations for 2022. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Yes, we're in the Christmas season. This is the Tobago Updates morning show coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. As we continue to give God thanks for life, I am Julian Skeet.
And I am Ria Richardson George. And this is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. Good morning to you, Tobago. Good morning, Trinidad. Those of you viewing us in the Caribbean and those of you on the live, good morning, good morning. Well, Julian, it is Thursday morning.
Yes, Ria, it is Thursday morning indeed. And it continues to be an interesting week, just as we would have predicted with the happenings, particularly within our political space, Ria.
Yes, Julian, and I dare say that the saga continues.
And you know, it's quite interesting at that. As I would say, I think I spoke to this before, whether on air or off air. Quite frankly, now you say it wherever. At the end of the day, the progression I am seeing again does not surprise me under the circumstances. The political leader of the PDP has seen where he anticipates that there are some challenges with regards to the resignation that can potentially lead to the removal of these individuals who have resigned and no longer belong to the PDP. And, as I said to someone yesterday when they raised it with me, well, I heard all seats are vacant. I said, really? Because I was back and forth in between meetings, and I asked, well, when did it all happen? And then they indicated to me that Watson Duke, the political leader, indicated that all seats are vacant.
Now vacant.
And I indicated,
need to be filled.
And very, very quickly, I just tried to clarify for them. While Watson Duke or any other assemblyman for that matter may want all seats to be vacant, no assemblyman in their individual capacity has that authority to declare seats vacant. And it's important to bring that kind of clarity. And as I explained, just as I will share here this morning, in instances like these, it will have to go forth to the court. He has written to the presiding officer. We wait to see what action may be taken on the part of the presiding officer in relation to this matter. But I want to think under the circumstances where many, including Ho Choi Charles, have indicated that the Tobago House of Assembly Act is very clear in the circumstance. If you're going to challenge the act in that context, I do not know that there's any other way to challenge it besides before the court or change it with the parliament. So it's one out of the two. It's either you're going to challenge it before the court, as was the case when the PDP attempted to challenge the 6-6 decision last year, or you propose to make some changes to the law, as the government did in the parliament, using their simple majority to make some minor changes to create the 15 seats. So it's either you're going to challenge it or you're going to find a pathway to change it. But either way, an individual assemblyman isn't able to do that. But he's certainly doing pretty good with his media campaign to push where his concerns reside, and further to that, providing excerpts from the standing orders of the Tobago House of Assembly, as well as the Constitution, showing the direction of his argument. I think he's doing pretty well in that context.
So the mandate again here seeks to keep the PDP, or keep the whatever the new administration is in line or in check with promises that were made during the campaigning, during the election campaign. So, I mean, unless that has now changed, seeing that they are no longer members of the PDP.
Well, I have now seen a scenario where it is, and I'm searching here very quickly to locate it. Interesting enough, the address delivered by the political leader yesterday, Watson Duke, was labeled Fellow Citizens of Trinidad and Tobago National Address Number 1. And that is an interesting development because he has given these, address and pronouncements as a mandate Monday in the first instance, speaking to issues and matters of the Tobago House of Assembly.
Right.
And now you have a scenario where, interesting, he has labeled this his national address #1. And then you have on the flip side, the Chief Secretary reassuring the people of Tobago that business continues. He has sought the necessary advice and guidance with the team before the decision was made. And the operations of the Tobago House of Assembly continue. And again, that's another indication to persons. Until there is anything that is declared alternatively, the operations of the Tobago House of Assembly continue. The Chief Secretary is in place, Deputy Chief Secretary, the Minority Leader, all members of the Assembly, the Executive Council, they all continue to function in their respective responsibilities, guided by the Tobago House of Assembly Act. All right? So it's a very, very interesting times ahead.
Most
All
definitely.
right, so we're heading straight on into birthday celebrations this morning.
No, we've got news in 90 seconds.
Okay, all right. So we got news before we head on into our birthday celebration. So we head on over to news in 90 seconds.
Unprecedented times indeed, Julian and Ria. Here do we have the news in 90 seconds for Thursday, the 8th of December. Assemblyman for Roxborough Argyle, political leader of the PDP, Watson Duke, wrote to the presiding officer requesting that the 13 seats be made vacant. This move follows the resignation of Chief Secretary Farley Augustine and the rest of the Executive Council. Although the THA Act does not recognize party affiliation and remains silent on the matter, Duke believes that the presiding officer should act on the standing orders of the House of Representatives, which addresses it. He also stated that he is willing to take the matter to court. And in other news, meanwhile, Duke warned the international community against recognizing Farley Augustine as Chief Secretary and the other members of representative of the Executive Council. In a Facebook Live video, the political leader said that Augustine and the other PDP members must resign from their positions in the THA and allow for another elections to be held. However, Augustine previously stated that there is no legal requirement for an election to be called, and even though there are no longer members of the PDP, their positions within the THA remain unchanged. And finally, former High Court judge and member of Parliament Herbert Volney has passed away. Reports indicated that he suffered a heart attack and died on Wednesday morning at age 69. Volney became a judge and presided over several controversial cases, including the Brad Boyce manslaughter trial and drug case of businessman Rick Gomez. His co-accused, Louis Blanco Gomez, Volney left the judiciary in 2010 to enter politics and became the MP for St. Joseph in the People's Partnership government, but was fired in 2012 over the Section 34 controversy. Thank you, Ria and Julian, and that was your news in 90 seconds.
Thank you there.
Thank you, Chanel.
Thank you there, Chanel, this morning. And again, Ria, copying and in the news there, very much the happenings within the context of the Tobago space. And it's really left to be seen, as I have said from as early as Monday, Tuesday, earlier this week, with the news coming out. We continue to wait to see how this progresses in relation to the eventual outcome. But I am really trusting and hoping that ultimately we are able to have some kind of progressive direction, whatever the direction may be, come 2023. This is one of those things, you oftentimes say, leave those things in 2022 in the old year.
Oh, yes.
This is certainly some of those things that we're hoping to leave in the old year as we head on into 2023. All right, Ria, so we got some birthday celebrations happening this morning.
Do.
All right. So we start with man out of the East, man. And this morning, no pun intended.
I love it.
Sending a birthday shout out to Karen Eastman. Karen Eastman out there in Charlottesville.
Happy
very
birthday.
very proud.
Charlottesville.
Right, of his Charlottesville roots. Let's just say on an average day, even when I'm out there with the family, and you drive through Charlottesville, you could spot Karen in some part of the village. Eastman.
That's right.
So we're wishing you a happy birthday coming out from the Tobago Updates family.
All right, I'll take this one. I'll take this one. We've got celebrating her birthday today, Petal Alexander. Petal, happy birthday going out to you and love from the entire Richardson Tobago clan. All right, and this is Shanice Patrick Verger, celebrating her birthday. Shanice, love going out to you from all of us here at Tobago Updates and from the Patience Hill Open Bible Church family. So I met this gentleman at a funeral yesterday. He stopped me while, I was handing out some water. And he says that he views the program every morning from San Fernando. See, he was in Tobago just for a couple of days. And this is Nicholas Hamlet, viewer from Pleasantville, St. Madeleine, Sando side. And he views the program. He celebrated his birthday yesterday. So we decided to take this nice shot and share it on the program this morning. So, Nicholas, happy belated going out to you and love from all of us here at Tobago Updates.
Beautiful, beautiful indeed. And we also have on screen with us this morning Chanel Edwards. And Chanel Edwards is sending out, this is happy birthday to Chanel Edwards coming from Abby, Anton and the family, your mom and dad in Trinidad, and your son Jasir sending Chanel Edwards a happy birthday going out to you this morning. And we have two more birthdays in the lineup this morning, two more very special birthdays to us this morning. And I'm just awaiting those images to come up on screen for us. And we're sending birthday shout outs this morning going out to Keegan Denoon. Keegan Denoon, we're sending a birthday shout out to you there this morning. All right, so I suspect we probably so we have it on screen there now. Keegan Denoon, sending a birthday shout out to Keegan Denoon this morning and wishing you God's continued blessings. And we've got a young one in the mix who turns 2 today. And I'm certain she's probably tuned in with mommy and daddy and the entire family this morning as she turns 2. And we're going to have coming up on screen this morning. Well, I would want to wait for that image because this is a very special and they're
very familiar.
They're one in the mix in terms of being very, very, very familiar indeed. And we've got her on screen. This is Reagan Viviana Serenity Frederick, who turns 2 today. And therefore, we want to send birthday shout outs to you coming from Mommy Burners, Daddy Richard, and all your sisters, Risa, Venicia, Auntie Laverne, the entire team sending birthday shout outs. And I'm sure she's looking at the screen this morning and saying, oh my God, that's a picture of me. All right. And this morning, I also want to take the opportunity, Ria, to send out some commendations to the Mount Pleasant Credit Union. Specific at that, I had the opportunity to participate in the recent Bursary Award celebrations, and that's the awards that distribute awards to our C students, our CSEC, our CAPE students, and so on. I'm just awaiting that image to come up on screen. And I want to send out commendations for continuing to recognize. Mount Pleasant this year would have also started a scholarship award going out, and this is President Dr. Carlton Guy on screen there. And the recipient, Ms. Skypes, and definitely she's going to be the recipient going out for an annual receipt of a scholarship award now on the part of Mount Pleasant Credit Union. And you have the collaboration there of the Education Committee and all the recipients for this year for 2022. And therefore, we send out kudos to all these recipients and young persons doing exceptionally good stuff.
That's right.
Within the challenges and coming out of a pandemic. So kudos and commendations for the receipt of all those awards this year, the Bursary Awards of the Mount Pleasant Credit Union. All right, viewers, Ria, who do we have on the rundown this morning?
Well, I'm glad that you asked. So quite a packed program this morning. So we kick things off this morning chatting with Ricardo Alfred, the chairman of the Tobago Agribusiness Development Company, and Glenn Ramdani, the executive chairman of Novo Group. This morning, they're going to be focused on TADCO's year in review. So there we have Ricardo Alfred coming up just after the break.
All right. And we continue this morning with Assemblyman Terence Baines. And he'll be speaking to a full disclosure premieres tonight. All right, that's Area Representative for Bethel New Grange and Secretary for the Division of Community Development, Youth Development and Sport, Assemblyman Terence Baines.
And then we chat with Cleon McPherson about Playground Rhymes video premiere.
All right, and we'll be wrapping this morning as we speak to the TTPS Annual Concert 2022. Karen Stewart Duncan, ASP of the TTPS, and Joseph Jordan, Sergeant of the TTPS, will be speaking to us later on this morning as we talk about their concert for 2022.
All right, and that's it.
All right. So viewers, we want to continue to thank you so much for the love and support. Those of you joining us via TV, those connecting with us on the radio, and of course, those of you online with us this morning. Gillian Henry, Doniel Vincent, Camille Woods Phillips, Denisha Jones, Fitzroy Wallace, Julia Brown, Tintin Jack, Gloria Ali, Candice Jackson joining us on the line, Selma Lashley, and to each and every one of you, QQ Melville, Lisa James, we want to thank you so much for the continued love and support, and to indicate to you that this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.
This is how it's gonna go. They better look up and look, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up and look. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show. Excuse me, Mr. Man. Playground rhymes. That's why I'm bringing back the playground rhymes.
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry. If your life can't get damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. Don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry. If your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. If sickness catch you off guard. I tell them never ever worry. If times fall on you real hard. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil will always be here for you.
Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show. It is 7:17 or just about 7:18 a.m. this morning on the Tobago Updates morning show, wherever you are. And thank you so much for continuing to tune in and to connect with us. On set this morning with us, we have Ricardo Alfred, chairman of the Tobago Agribusiness Development Company. And just in case you're wondering, yes, folks, TADCO, what we commonly know as TADCO. So chairman of TADCO, Ricardo Alfred. And we also have on with us this morning, Glenn Ramdani, executive chairman of the Novo Group. Good morning to you, gentlemen.
Yes, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. So as we get the conversation started this morning, we're speaking to TADCO's year in review. And I want to start off by asking you, Ricardo, give us a sense, if you were to summarize, how would you describe on a scale of 1 to 10 the success of TADCO in this first year, TADCO being one of those very early boards that would have been appointed by this current administration?
Right. So basically, if I were to sum it up in what we have done so far to where we were, I would have said that the company is in a better position as it relates to a lot of regional opportunities, both in Tobago and as well as for us to go forward as it relates to the agro processing and in terms of making relations as it relates to the different products that we have and to be sold regionally as well. So I think we did very well in terms of bringing out all the different aspects, the training that we would have provided for farmers, as well as for a lot of collaborations with major stakeholders that could definitely bring a massive change to the island of Tobago.
All right. So if you were to put that into numbers on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate TADCO?
I would rate TADCO on a scale of 1 to 10.
On a scale of 1 to 10. Like I put it in the hot seat. So let's go to Glenn Ramdani. Novo Group. Tell us a little bit about this entity. And of course, what is going to be a unique initiative in terms of this collaboration with TADCO. Who is Novo Group?
Sure. Morning, everyone. So, Novo is a company, is 18 years old. Started off as a technology company, and through the year we diversified into media, communication, and in 2016 we started noticing trends globally as it relates to food and what is happening on the global markets. And we started then from 2016 we started to invest into an agro-processing facility. Then the pandemic came. When the pandemic came, we were 90% completed. And right after that, when the first opening of the economy started, is when we launched our agro-processing entity under Novo Farms. It's a modern first world facility. It's a $60 million investment, and it's really meant to bring transformational change within the agricultural sector.
All right. Chairman Ricardo Alfred, tell us about this relationship with the Novo Group, which, of course, has come with some controversy quite naturally with the feeling of that separation of not giving the specific opportunity to Tobago, rather, and you know the controversies out there in this space. So bring a little clarity for us to the situation in terms of the relation with the Novo Group.
Right, so as it relates to Novo, what we have done actually is to have an MOU which can be available to persons that they would want to see what is inside it. That MOU would definitely stipulate and state the different arrangements that we will have. So they will provide training in terms of the use of the flour factory that we're going to have coming on board. Novo will have one of their equipments coming to Tobago, and then we will have a massive, a very large flour output that is definitely going to be used in the Trinidad supermarkets and to be used regional. In terms of other aspects of it, we are looking at the different aspects, how we can benefit Tobago in terms of the fishing sector, where you will have a better value-added product coming out of Tobago as well. It's all about building that brand from Tobago, and there will be lots of employments created, different synergies as relates to the agro-processing and from the agricultural sector. So it's a collaboration, it's a joint effort in terms of bringing that brand Tobago in a more regional scale.
So I want to be very clear. There are a number of producers here who have indicated they have done their flours on a smaller scale.
Yes.
This initiative with Novo is not intended to compete with these local producers.
Correct. So we are staying out of the Tobago market. The persons that we have on the island, on Friday we're going to be having some training as relates to agro-processors. We have different MOUs with Carrieri and ADB. We're staying out of the Tobago market and allow them to grow. And if we can help them, we will help them. We continue to support them, right? But we are staying out of the Tobago market. So we are selling in the Trinidad space and in the regional space. We're not competing in Tobago.
I want you to also clarify for us in terms of there are claims with Novo providing all the vegetables for the Tobago Christmas basket distribution while sidelining all the Tobago farmers.
Well, it's quite unfortunate how that information came out. However, it's a false statement. There'll be no fresh produce coming from Trinidad, right? And we know, well, let's be specific, there's no fresh produce coming from Novo or anyone from Trinidad. All of that will be done here in Tobago. It's quite unfortunate how persons would have been speculating a lot of ills about what is not the case, you know. I am a farmer, I am from Tobago, and I would not let that happen. So it is very strange that that came out. But however, just to bring some clarity that that's false, right? We will have on this box is geared towards supporting those based on the area reps who have the different responsibilities for different areas, for the persons in needs. So you would have different aspects coming from Tobago. You would have the same chicken from the poultry program. You would have the different pork that's coming from Tobago, the bread that is coming from Tobago, all the different mixes that we do, and all the. So I am. Anyway, that is definitely false. There's no fresh produce coming
So
from.
I'd want you to use the opportunity as well to tell us about these Christmas baskets that will be distributed. Is it
Right.
going to be
It's not
done
a-
wide scale across the Tobago space?
Well, it's not a Christmas basket. It's a food drive, a food box initiative.
Right.
Basically to support those in need. So it is tended to go a couple months throughout the year.
Okay.
Right. So it's not a Christmas basket. This aim is to really assist those that are in need.
So this is going to be something that will run throughout the year.
Yes.
And is it that there has already been a commitment that it will be throughout all our 15 electoral districts, or that's still being worked out?
That is correct.
All right, so
Yes.
that's committed in terms
Yes.
of our 15 electoral.
No, TADCO is not getting involved in who needs these things. Right? It's up to the area reps to decide who the people in need are. We are not getting
So
involved.
TADCO is responsible in terms of coordinating
Yes,
the packaging
yes,
and so on
yes.
of these food boxes. All right, but I particularly like the idea that it doesn't only focus on the Christmas season, but it is something
Yes.
that intends to go year-long with regards to
Yes.
outreach. Yes, folks, another reason to reach out to your area representative, identifying persons in need. Now, we've got Glenn Ramdani still on the line with us, and I want you to just elaborate a little bit in terms of, based on your experience and exposure, the kind of benefits that you intend to bring to this relation being developed with TADCO and by extension Tobago.
Okay. So our focus on Tobago is really to invest into the agri sector, to build a modern agro-processing facility as well, similar to what we did in Trinidad, but to help build capacity on the island with farmers. What we are doing is really a regional plan, started first home being Trinidad and Tobago. We also have an MOU with Guyana, and we also have a draft with Barbados, a draft MOU with Barbados as well to be reviewed. It's a regional plan, and it's to really start building the capacity from a regional front, starting with home, Trinidad and Tobago, so we can withstand the shocks, the external shocks that may come with regards to food and food security. The pandemic would have shown that in times of a global turbulence, most developed countries, which we tend to look towards, tend to look inwards and tend to protect their own, which leaves us in a vulnerable state. So what we started doing is start building that resilience using our technology, using our innovation, and giving farmers that catalyst so they can start growing and building their capacity so that we can be able to then process it at a higher value product, packaged using our technology with longer shelf life. And the end goal is from farm to table, everyone benefits.
All right, excellent. Ricardo, I want you to tell us a little bit about, as TADCO, with the startup, there would have been some focal points that would have been identified early in terms of trying to transition and really bring this company to a different point, where as one of the state-owned entities managed by a board, it could seek to turn things around so the growth and bringing in more to the Tobago space and really pushing the product would have been one of the key objectives. Tell us a little bit about some of the initiatives and what we can define as success areas by way of the work done by TADCO from earlier on in this year.
Right. So what we have, one of our major accomplishments was definitely to get the capital of Paradise back up and running. The vessel was down for almost 5 years. Keep in mind that this is a boat. For those who own vessels or in the marine field, they would know that the meaning of boat is bring out the other 1,000. Because boats are very, very difficult to maintain. They require a certain class, and kudos to all the guys who are involved in the marine field. That vessel is now one of the major players in Trinidad and Tobago. It is used as an example by the Fisheries Division in Trinidad. They are the ones because they have some new regulations that is coming out. And I guess later on I could show with the public the different permits that we have that allow us to fish internationally. So they are using that boat as a catalyst as to lead the long line authority in Trinidad in terms of all the different regulations that we must have. What we're doing with the cassava project, because of the rain is falling, it's quite difficult to get the preparation prepared for the farmers, but I want to give the farmers and those who involved in the contract farming for the cassava, we have definitely got the commitment, and I would like to say really thanks to the division of that our line secretary leads, that we definitely get the commitment from those guys in terms of the tractor services, where we would definitely prepare the land for the person involved in the contract farming, because we need to be able to push an output that is definitely going to be keeping the input price down. So kudos to them, Mr. Carl Murray and Mr. Vaughan Edwards, for that help going forward. In the terms of the fishing sector, we're definitely going to be having more training for them, in terms of them understanding that there's some new regulations coming that did definitely impact on them. That will be done in the new year, so that they understand the new regulations. The poultry initiative that we are doing, this is definitely geared in terms of building capacity on the island. As most of you may not know, that there's 56 billion heads of chicken that is consumed on a global basis. 43 million of that is within Trinidad and Tobago. And the chicken consumption right now in Tobago is about 250,000. So we need to be able to really build that capacity. Our project is geared towards an 18 months projection, that at least we will be able to reach that 250,000. So I'm appealing to those who are involved in the poultry. Get on board. You're going to get the feed, you're going to get the bird, you're going to get all the support. Master Mix was able to train 2 of our persons higher than a master's level, I would say, in terms of autopsy, in terms of finding out what's wrong with the bird. The support will be there for them. And this will definitely build capacity. We're going to bite back, but take it back from them. We're just paying them for labor, basically. So they don't have to worry about feed, they don't have to worry about market, focus on what they do best, which is planting. And it's the same approach for the cassava people. This is definitely get in terms of building that consistent commodity on the island, and again, building that brand for Tobago.
So I wanted to elaborate on that. So you're going to provide, in terms of engaging persons who are interested with regards to rearing chickens, and so you're going to provide. Go ahead, just elaborate on that.
So far we have 24 farmers in the program, 3 secondary schools, 3 primary schools, and a 4-H community group. They are the ones who are actually leading right now. We're on to our 6th batch. Some chickens came in last night, and the farmers came, they were handed to them. Basically, we monitor them. There's a lot of data that we have to provide, that they are providing in terms of growing their capacity. So when the chicken gets to a certain point, we will take it back, process it, and that will go back into the market. After being around the port for almost 21 years, I see exactly what comes to Tobago on a daily basis, Just the other day, I saw Dasheen Bush coming off the ferry. So I am full aware as to what comes to Tobago, who buys these stuff, and what comes. Right now, we have a lot of rain, so we kind of have to mash a little gas to really put things in perspective. But I am looking at 250,000 birds per month. So I'm appealing to the persons who are involved. If you have a little money to spend on extra in terms of developing your pens, private sector to get involved, the groceries, the supermarkets, the hotels, get involved, and let us build this little island. I know that there's a lot of distractions out there, but that's all they are, distractions. So let us focus on really build this sector. After the poultry, we're going to be looking at the pigs in terms of providing a consistent product, whether it be specialty cuts, whether it be ribs. After that, we're going to be dealing with the goat and sheep. We need to build that value-added product here on the island, right? The capital of paradise will definitely assist in the fish aspect of it. It has all the requisite permits. Again, we will show that in the presentation there. So everything is there. We have to really put our best foot forward in terms of building our capacity here on the island. It's kind of, again, I speak from what I see on a daily basis.
All right. As you speak capital of paradise, that's one of the other areas I want you to speak to for us. Tell us about the turnaround with capital of paradise in the context of, the dollars and cents specific to some of the value we have seen by virtue of the trips and what has been labeled as a successful catch and so on.
Yeah. So for me, everything must make financial sense. We have to look at the input first, and then we can derive from the output. The capital of paradise came back last week, where it would have caught the largest number of fish, 75 tunas. Persons have to understand that every time the vessel goes out, the number is increasing. As a marine engineer and as a surveyor, you have to be able to bring that vessel up to functionality and full operational use over a process because it was done for such a long time. At most times, right now, we were at a hammer and chisel stage. Right now, we're at a screwdriver stage, just a little tweaking. And I can say the vessel is a very profitable commodity. The guys on them are all Tobagonians, very young crew, actually. And they are eager to work. They wanted to go back out, but we have to do some necessary repairs as relates to the life rafts and the life-saving appliances on board the vessel had expired. So these things, we're not going to jeopardize the safety. So the vessel is in Trinidad. They're just doing some minor repairs, cleaning the fuel tanks, doing some regular servicing, service of the generator, service of the main engines. These things are necessary so that next year when it goes back out, it will go back out in the first week of January. Yes. And this will go at full capacity. Definitely, I'm looking at a minimum of no less than 12,000 pounds on each trip coming back. So I want the vessel to go out do a 2 weeks, right, and come back. So if they could do 2 trips per month, will be good. That's my aim going forward.
All right, excellent. I also want to get some updates from you. We would have seen TADCO participating in a number of initiatives here on the island, most recently with regards to World Food Day. What was the reach or the success coming out, or challenges out of the World Food Day participation? Was it worth it?
We have to recognize what World Food Day really. World Food Day really is an event where persons showcase all that they can do as relates to agriculture. So you had major agriculture stakeholders showing different products. You had the division showing the different forestry. And I would really want to form a better synergy with the division as relates to the different things that they can do. They have an excellent forestry program where there's something that we could definitely tap into in terms of providing a better value-added product as relates to tours into the rainforest and those type of things. How they would have collect fees and stuff like that. So we definitely want to have a better synergy with that. But the World Food Day is really to understand. This year, being closed for such a long time, I would think it was a success in terms of it was well attended. I'm hoping that next year now we're going to have a lot more stuff coming out. You had the regular persons who came with the animals, Mr. Moore, who, in my opinion, is a great farmer as relates to what he do with the goats on the island. So I am aware of key persons that we are looking at. We had some wines, actually. What I forgot to mention is that, they had this program in Trinidad where we had some of our wines and products go down to that Christmas Joy concept with Brian McFadden. Our products were showcased there. And I am all about promoting the different value-added stuff, the different wines, the different commodities that come from the island. Mr. Ramdani could tell you about how the wines and how the people accepted the wines, the sorrel wine, the dashing wine. All these things they want, Just that we have to build out the persons in terms of doing the different testing, your calorie content, your nutritional benefits, your alcohol. These testing you must have these things on your label so that they can reach a certain market. So we are helping certain persons in terms of the relationship that we have with Carrier in terms of testing so that they can have a better product that they can put on the regional market.
All right, and I want to bring back Mr. Glenn Ramdani here. To tell us a little bit about that in terms of those relations in the context of what you would have been able to see from the perspective of TADCO within the Trinidad space.
Sure. So first of all, Tobago is very innovative. There's fantastic microprocessors on the island with excellent products. We would love to work with through TADCO and expand it and take it into an international level. One of the things we do, we have a very strong team in Novo that is good at from food innovation, science, marketing, everything from down to the packaging, the use of colors, everything. Career is also working close with us. We have a strong testing environment, which will follow good manufacturing practices. And we also have labs in the US. We think differently in terms of how we produce products. For example, some of the products we would have put out is like the instant callaloo, instant tomato shoka, and products like that is really doing well on the international market with the diaspora. And Tobago, for example, like the waffle mixes and some of the wines that you are doing have have a lot of potential, not just locally and in the regional space, but also in the international markets. And when you look at what's happening in Europe, where the rivers are drying up, and what's happening in the US, it's going to affect those wine markets. So Tobago has a huge potential to develop that wine sector, so that we can really take that on an international level and really compete as well. And this is what we hope to bring with Novo and the MOU with Novo and TADCO, that we can work with those processors, help scale up their production, refine some of the packaging, and take it to that level of where it can be exported to those international markets.
All right, so we're really about pushing that international trust for Tobago here in terms of getting the products out. I mean, Ricardo, when you look at the combination, 41,000 roughly here, in excess of 41,000 USD, Capital of Paradise, strip number 4. You're looking at the yellowfin tuna. You're looking at World Food Day gross sales, approximately just over $37,000 over a 2-day period, and so on. Would you say with some degree of comfort that things are indeed trending in the right direction with the movement that you are looking for in TADCO, given the responsibility that you would have been tasked with by the Secretary and Assistant Secretary in the division, and by extension, the Executive Council of the Tobago House of Assembly?
Well, first, I really want to thank the staff and the managers at TADCO. I know I am a person to terms of get things done, and I know that some of them feel a lot of pressure, so I want to tell them thank you. For me, it is all about getting it done in a very, very timely manner. There's no time for us to really waste in terms of where we are as relates to food security. I follow the global trend every single day, and we definitely, if we continue on the trend that we are, there's no stopping. Tobago is a regional brand. Tobago is a agricultural brand that persons would want to get involved in terms of selling their products. You have a lot of persons who have the different types of soap, and the different types of artisan stuff that they want to do. The food hub that we have at Shore Park there definitely offers a space for persons to come, showcase their products, different variety of food. You have entertainment. You had Pastor Baines had his gospel concert, which was well attended. It must be a space, it must have a space where persons could come and showcase their different products. You have dirt oven breads, you have, I mean, it is so amazing, the different things that we're going to be having. It's important for persons to understand that in order for them to do business, they have to see themselves as business people. And to all the farmers, I want you to not see yourself as just as an agricultural farmer. You have to see yourself as a businessman involved in the agricultural sector. Business is key. It's all about keeping your inputs low so that your output price can be thing. So I would say that I do have the support of the secretary. She has the support of her executive council, and we are able to move mountains with the help that is provided. And if we continue on this trend, again, I'm looking at the next 18 months that Tobago will have all of the chicken from Tobago. We're definitely going to have the pork and all the different aspect of what Tobago has livestock-wise on different supermarket shelves. But I'm looking at the regional market. So we're forming alliances with all of the countries that are close, and we are using the Capital of Paradise to open certain doors and to have something to negotiate with as relates to the Tobago commodities.
All right. Ricardo, on that note, as you speak to, because this was one of the follow-up periods for me, I want you to tell us a little bit about the workings of the food hub, because we have seen, just as you said, in terms of initiatives being hosted there and the recognition that this is open to all of Tobago. You want to host that type of event, and similarly, give us some insight into the Le Coco Estate with regards to the launch.
So the Le Coco Estate is basically an area where persons could come. They could see the different cocos coming there. It is now being cleaned, and you could walk through the cocoa, you could have a river line, you could do a hike. We are offering this package mostly trying to get the regional market and as relates to the cruise ship industry as well, that persons would come off the vessel and go to these different packages. This would definitely build some sort of relationship with the persons who live in the area in terms of guest houses, in terms of food items that they have selling in the area there. By building that commodity and capacity of those persons in the east side, the lure is a very good thing. We're doing a lot of work actually in terms of the different Trinidad schools, the different corporate entities for them to come and do their retreats there. There is going to be some aspect of entertainment as relates to the cocoa dance, the different cocoa rums, it's all about building the Tobago product. And if we have these gems on the island, I mean, fortunately, I am fortunate enough to have traveled the world. I have been to many different countries, some both English, Spanish, different language. We have gems right here, and we have to find a way to promote it to such a liking that other persons can come in and definitely experience it. So I'm appealing to those in the area up there to really see yourself as ambassadors in what we want to do up there. The lure is going to be a hit. I don't want to share, we have something on stream coming for that lure from one of our major stakeholders, but in time I would bring out that information as relates to what we're going to be doing up there.
All right, and accessibility in terms of the shore park food hub.
Right, so currently we open from Thursday to Sunday. The aim is to open every day, but you have to do a gradual build to it. It's a covered area, now is the rainy season. We would have had a lot of rentals as relates to persons who have their family day, persons who want to do their concert. So it's billing. I'm appealing to all the food vendors. Come and have your space, come and have a centralized location. You have proper parking, efficient lighting, you have toilet facilities, you have water. Come and find a space there to showcase your event.
And TADCO is the area by which you can make the arrangements to book
and
to utilize the space.
Yes.
All right. Glenn Ramdani on the line with us. I want you to tell us a little bit progressively in terms of how soon can we see things being kicked off in terms of the arrangement by way of this MOU within the Tobago space.
So right now we're working with TADCO to really build a catalyst for the farmers to scale their capacity. We hoping within the first quarter to start having flour production going. In addition to that, is really scaling the different products that we would have identified through TADCO that we think has good export potential, like the waffle mix, the wines, the teas, and so on. So within the first quarter, we want to start to bring those to market, not just here in Trinidad and regionally, but also where we have our distribution channels in Canada, in London, in Florida, and that is what we're hoping to do within the first quarter. We already put out some designs. I believe the secretary would have probably give a teaser on a Facebook page of what the new packaging design would look like for those waffle mix. And it has created a lot of buzz on the international market. We have been getting calls from our distributors in Canada for those products. So within the first quarter next year, you shall see we are going to take that Tobago product, Tobago brand, to those international markets.
All right, excellent. And Ricardo, as we prepare to wrap, I want you to give some sense to the people of Tobago. We are speaking TADCO, and we're looking at agro processors. We're looking at some of the primary producers. We're looking at a number of areas in terms of strategic alliances, and so give us a sense of where you anticipate things would be going as we look to wrap this morning's interview.
Right. So what I want persons to understand, and this is not just an agro-processor or a farmer's push. This is a service industry as relates to different services that comes out of agriculture. I would have been speaking about the whole poultry initiative. Right now, there's a need for pen litter, the use of sawdust. There's a need for the different aspects of repairs to these types of equipment. There's a need for persons who are handymen and who can do stuff with their hands as relates to when this factory is up and running. There's going to be lots of employment created, whereas to service these entities. So persons need to understand at the end of the day, it's all about employment. It's all about creating a sustainable and a consistent product on the market so that when you go to the different supermarkets, you're going with a constant all the time. If they're buying X, they're buying X. It's not about X less, you know. So, to sum it up, we have to understand that over the years, Tobago has been a brand as relates to agriculture. I can't comment on what stuff happened in the past and why we are not in a better place. However, we are on a wave. Let us continue to ride the wave. There are going to be distractions, and I'm appealing to persons. Distractions are just what they are. Just stay focused, and all will be well. Even if people fail, try to look at it as a learning curve, because at the end of the day, when we are rising to the top, you will always have some sort of temptations or some sort of barnacles, I would call it, you know, trying to scale and put us back down. But just stay focused and everything will work out. Right now, we're on a global trend. This is what we're looking at, being a regional trend on the market in terms of Tobago products. And to the persons who support us, to the farmers, the cassava farmers, those who are involved in the poultry, continue. This project that we're doing with the food box, we are going to be reaching out to the various associations to see what the persons have on the ground so that we can put into this food box. The aim is Tobago in mind for Tobago.
All right, excellent. And I dare say, Ricardo, it's a good thing when you are on and you get the live commendations of your secretary, Natisha Charles Pantin, joining us online. Team, you are doing a great job. Nothing in life is easy, but once you hit the ground, we have to keep running. Tobago must win. Tobagonians must excel, understanding that the process is important. So I want to suspect you are in line, you and the entire team out there at TADCO, your staff and your entire team, working along with Secretary Natisha Charles Pantin, Assistant Secretary and Nigel Tate, and the entire team out there at the division, really seeking to make a difference from that perspective in the context of the work being done here. So we want to say thank you very much again. Ricardo Alfred, Chairman of TADCO, joining us on set this morning, and also on the line with us, Glenn Ramdani, Executive Chairman of the Novo Group. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us here. Viewers, we want you to stay tuned because we have coming up next. Yes, the gentleman out there giving you the salute, not the wave this morning. Yeah, you can depend on him to do it different. Giving you the salute there on screen. We have coming up Assemblyman Terence Baines, Secretary with responsibility for the Division of Community Development, Youth Development and Sport, and Assemblyman for Bethel New Grange. And this morning he's coming to speak to you about full disclosure that premieres tonight. All right, viewers, so we want to thank each and every one of you joining us via TV, those connecting and listening in via radio, and those of you online with us this morning. We want to remind you that this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.
A while before Christmas, and all through the land, people was putting away house with very little money in hand. They was painting and cleaning and doing their chores, but I went to hunt for deals at American stores. Deals on living and dining room sets, on fridges and stoves, beds and cabinets, on washers and dryers, small appliances cheap. Even TVs and stereos, prices just can't be beat. So let's Christmas together at American stores. After all, what they tell me, anything could be yours.
Anything can be yours at American stores.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning.
Welcome back, viewers, to the Tobago Updates morning show. We are chatting this morning with Assemblyman Terence Baines, the area representative of Bethel New Grange, also the Secretary of the Division of Community Development, Youth Development and Sport. And this morning we are talking about a new show that is that premieres later this evening, Full Disclosure. Let's see what it's all about.
Full Disclosure with the Executive every Thursday at 8 p.m. only on Tobago Updates. Real questions and honest conversations with the sole aim of keeping you fully in the know. Full Disclosure with the Executive every Thursday at 8 p.m. only on Tobago Updates.
Full Disclosure. Assemblyman Baines, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning. And good morning to all the viewers of Tobago Updates, the family. Good morning to the constituents that we call Bethel New Grange, and of course the wider Tobago. Good morning, everybody.
All right, no, it's good to have you on the program with us this morning. Let's get right into things. Full disclosure. What are the objectives behind full disclosure?
Well, you know, this is a program that we've been talking about, you know, for quite some time, and I guess the present circumstances demands that, you know, we just start the program. The program's intent really is PR, really, talking about some of the things that we are doing in the various divisions, some of the things that we are doing in the various districts, ongoing, and of course addressing some of the key political issues in space as well. So it is a political / governance type of program where we try to have some frank conversations about what's happening.
How does full disclosure differ from what the information division puts out every week?
Well, the information division program will deal primarily with what's happening in the divisions. You understand? This program will have a political component to it as well. So we will be moving between these two lines, you know, and having frank conversations about what's happening on the political landscape generally and particularly, you know, and then of course what is happening on the governance landscape as well.
All right, who will be hosting?
Well, we will have some flexibility and some rotation of the hosts from time to time, dependent on the guests and so on. I start tonight as the host. We're gonna have two of the elected reps on tonight, and I believe we're gonna have useful conversation, juicy conversations at that. You know, there is much to be said. Much is happening in the Tobago landscape. You know, people have opinions and views and so on, and I think that that we need to put some things clearly in the space and so on. When you are informed, you are better able to perform. So we trust that this will help some of the conversations that is taking place in this space.
All right. Now, you mentioned here it's a political / governance type of show. How balanced would it be? Would it be only members of the current administration?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So is it PR? Give us a deeper understanding.
Well, that's what I said earlier. You know, it's a PR for like what we are doing in our individual districts. Because one of the things that I've discovered, and I am guilty of that you do stuff in the district, but there is not much fanfare about it. There is not a whole lot of pictures and stuff. And so there are persons who say that you've done nothing or you've been doing nothing. And I realize that we need to do some more PR about what we do. You know, you certainly would not be able to please everyone. And no matter what you do, there are some people who will still say that you did nothing, you know. But I think that we can do some more in kind of letting the public know what we've been doing as individuals in the various districts. And also it will be an opportunity for us to talk about what we're doing at the divisional level as well. And that would be another layer. Of course, we have the information division that does that, and sometimes the divisions do some formal things, but we will be able to kind of marry those two things, because our responsibility is both on the governance landscape at the executive level and also at the constituency level, you know. And sometimes, you know, that has its own challenges and so on. And I think communicating with our charges kind of helps people to have a better appreciation for what we do.
Okay, let's talk about the name, full disclosure.
Yes.
How did you come up with the name?
Yeah, well, actually, Secretary Councillor Boris and I were having a conversation maybe about a month or so ago. We were talking, about the possibility of this program and so on. She was the one that kind of said, yeah, and then I nod my head in agreement. So she has the copyright for this. Yeah, we can't pay her, but we will work something out. Yeah, and it really is just saying our intent is for there to be frank conversations. You understand? Clearly, because we are in the executive, there will be some matters that are not. It is not prudent for them to be for public consumption from an executive level. But then, generally speaking, we want to have frank conversations with the public. And let them know what is taking place, and people will make a decision, an assessment, and decide what they will accept or what they will reject. But I think that we have a responsibility to have those conversations, and hopefully that will help to alleviate some of the fears. That will help to because our intention is to try and answer some of the questions. We certainly do not have superior knowledge on matters, but we will do our best to answer the questions. In one of the segments of the show, we'll have a question and answer segment, and so we try to address some of those concerns to the best of our ability.
Now, you start with the hosting tonight. How do you plan on allowing it to continue? Would it be other assemblymen hosting?
Yes, we will have some rotation. We will have some rotation because we really want to as the program says, is with the executive and so on. So while it will not be exclusively executive members hosted, but predominantly we will have rotations and so on, and have the conversation. I stress the importance of it being frank, and not be too formal, if I could put it that way, because we understand in our quest to represent people, the more honest you are, the better chance you have of people understanding where you're coming from. Everybody will not agree with you, and we have to live with that reality. But I feel that we get more done if we just frank with people. If something went wrong, and you accept that something went wrong, and you talk about it and you put it out there, you don't shy away from your responsibility. Yeah, I think that we get more done that way.
Okay, and opportunities now for the public to get involved.
Yes, because it's going to be people on the live can ask questions and so on, and of course we will stress, as we can't stress it enough, that people will be respectful, and hopefully the questions that are asked, that we could give some answers,
Okay,
yes.
And remind us again of when full disclosure
Full disclosure premieres tonight on right here at Tobago Updates from 8 p.m. and we're going to have a supercalifragilistic conversation, I believe.
So will it be 8 p.m. every Thursday night?
Yes.
All right. Give us some hints here in terms of some of the topics that you're going to be covering.
Well, we're going to look at some of the current affairs on the political landscape, of course, and then what's happening in some of the districts of the area reps, some of the things how they've been coping with the overwhelming challenge coming out of the landslides and the different infrastructural things, how they've been dealing with that, how they are preparing for Christmas parties. Every district, every child in Tobago expecting a Christmas gift and some kind of Christmas activity for the last 2 years when they didn't have any. You understand? So I don't know, we're making out. God will have to help us. I'm telling you. We're trying. So those things we will discuss on the program as well.
All right. Well, thank you so much there, Assemblyman Baines, for chatting with us. And viewers, Full Disclosure premieres this evening, 8 p.m. right here on Tobago Updates. And we're going to run the promo just before we share the live, share the live, share the live. Oh, that's right. We've got more coming up on the program. This is all still new to us. I'm sorry about that. We've got coming up. Yes, go again, guys. Go again. Right. We've got Cleon McPherson and Franz Job coming up just after the break this morning. All right. And we're talking about Playground Rhymes at the video premiere. So share the live, share the live, share the live as we go to the premiere.
Full Disclosure with the Executive every Thursday at 8 p.m. only on Tobago Updates. Real questions and honest conversations with the sole aim of keeping you fully in the know. Full Disclosure with the Executive every Thursday at 8 p.m. only on Tobago Updates.
Spread Christmas joy and cheer with a loan from Lambo Credit Union this year. Get 100% financing for shopping, home renovations, furniture and appliances, debt consolidation and much more. Did we mention no payments until the end of January 2023? Get the most flexible repayment periods and the best interest rates around. Call 639-5060 to book your appointment today. Or visit us on Facebook or Instagram. Wishing you a happy holiday from Lambo Credit Union. And remember, we are always here for you.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. I am Julian Skeet, and in this segment, we are chatting with Cleon McPherson and Franz Job. No strangers at all, as I have aptly described them this morning, men in black. But this morning, we're chatting about Playground Rhymes, the video premiere. Good morning to you, gentlemen.
Good morning. Good morning.
All right. Tell me about how things, before we even get into Playground Rhymes, tell how things have been going within your respective industries. Cleon with regards to Ari Promotions, and very early I connected with Franz Group, as I like to describe him, the man on the instrument that just gives you that vibe and that energy. How have things been going in that field?
Things have been going good. Just now coming up for the carnival season, so we're looking forward to next year. So yeah, things have been going all right.
Excellent. And with you, Franz?
Same here, you know, no complaints, but nobody listens anyway. You know what I mean?
And I'm only hearing the rhythm in my Tobago, the beautiful countryside. So today we're chatting about Playground Rhymes. Tell us a little bit, what is Playground Rhymes about?
Playground Rhymes is a purist, I would say, collaboration between two creatives on the land. You could say that we are miles apart, yet we are very close. Cleon brought an idea to me regarding a collaboration that he wanted to do with the spoken word mixed with some music. So when he came with the idea, it was like a breath of fresh air to me, you know. So being the fiery person that I am in my mind, you know, I just ran with it, and I'm very privileged, I should say, to be supporting Cleon, because I've been a long admirer of his work, and it's just good to be in this space with him right now.
All right. So, Cleon, tell me a little bit about your thinking when you would have reached out. What's the concept that you're going for? What you want to achieve out of this?
Well, basically, we knew we had something in terms of something natural, something raw, something different that I haven't heard before. So it was basically to put that in perspective in terms of visually. So we actually did the video like probably about 2 months ago or so. And you know, well, the carnival season, so I was waiting to see exactly what would be good time to drop it. And this was basically I guess, the best time at the end of the day to drop it.
It's themed Playground Rhymes. Should we take that literally? Tell us a little bit about the name.
I think is the Playground Rhymes itself is just stripping down everything. It's back to basics. So even with the lyrical content, you'll be enhancing things that is, you know, a kind of more raw perspective, back to basics, back in the days, you know, that kind of thing. So it's something that is very, you know, I would say even the lyrical content and the musicality is something vibrant, it's something happy, you know, so they would basically enjoy it. So what we're trying to do this Saturday, it would be at Barcode, like from around 6:30 p.m. So we would be featuring a lot of different artists as well as premiering the music video. And we took the time now to say, okay, bring the creatives together to, you know, to form something that is unique, where we'll be able to display local talent, one, and at the same time see how we could help individuals. Because I think coming out of the pandemic, you know, everyone is under a little kind of pressure. So what we're planning to do in terms of raise funds for to create various hampers for the Christmas stuff. So that's what we're trying to do with the show, with the premiere of the show.
Excellent. In terms of encouraging persons to come out and support. Can I hear you describing what you hope to achieve with it? And then based on my knowledge of Franz Drobe's work, I'm seeing why you would have selected him quite naturally as a person. How do you feel ultimately, given your experience now within this initiative, and what are you looking forward to, Franz, coming out of this, especially with what's upcoming as well on Saturday and so on?
I have no particular projection. I always go into anything with optimism, not blind optimism, however, but optimism nonetheless, and positivity, and always leave the doors open for, you know, all the probabilities that would come. You know, like I said before, my role is a supportive one. I like being in support, as I'm in support of other artists as well, alongside Cleon. So I'm in my space, I'm in my zone where I could, you know, just dispense all the creativity in me and let it spread to all the onlookers. Yeah.
Would you say that initiatives like these are among our creatives, because we know that our creatives would have been one of the hardest hit sectors coming through the pandemic? Would you say that looking for opportunities where you can really collaborate to push the whole concept of Tobago becomes even more critical in these times?
I think so. We are in a space that is, if I'm correct, is 31 miles long by 11 miles wide. It's a very small space. I think, in my perception, I always say that everything is just a stone throw away, or everywhere is just a stone throw away. Everything is possible in Tobago. It just takes commitment and discipline, you know, and creativity, you know. So I think the outlook is a very positive one for creatives in Tobago, as long as you just stay grounded and disciplined.
All right. So, Cleon, tell us a little bit in terms of the cost, where things going to be happening on Saturday and so on, for persons to come out and support.
All right. So the cost is $100. You could get tickets at Barcode, Toys, Fuzzy Panda, and also to Closet. Right. I guess it would be more at the door. So, you know, get your tickets even before. And in terms of various artists that will be performing, we have Quad the Original, Ascala, George, Adana, Gerard Balfour, David Frank, you name it. So there's a lot of creatives that will be performing. Also, there will also be displaying Jared Primer's film as well. So it will be a mixture of that kind of visual aesthetics, including with various performances. So it's something, you know, like to come out, for, and also it's a good cause. So yeah.
So is it safe to say, ultimately, guys, 100 really can't pay for the value of what we're getting? So
No,
what
definitely.
people really doing is contributing to the charitable work.
Yeah, definitely. And then also we would have, you know, a little donation box as well if you want to put, you know, something extra, because we want to do up the hampers obviously before Christmas. And
So remind persons for me, what are the contributions going towards?
Our contribution going towards creating some of the Christmas hampers for families in need for the Christmas season. So we're looking to do a good cause.
Excellent. So again, it's a reminder to persons and the creatives, notwithstanding the challenges that they have faced, still wanting to make that contribution and giving back. And definitely kudos and commendations in that regard. And just before we head on into the actual video premiere, any closing words, gentlemen, you'd want to show to share with our viewing and listening audience? Franz, let me start with you and then I'll go to Cleon.
Since the advent of COVID-19, a lot of people have been under pressure, like Cleon mentioned before. We are only now starting to see what everyone has gone through a couple of years later. My only message would be, not only message, but one of our messages would be, just stay firm, stand firm, you know? Keep your cool, right? And, you know, troubles would come, troubles would go. You know, nothing sticks around forever, you know? So just remember that as you're trotting through.
Right, clear?
Well, yeah, just to piggyback on in terms of what Fran's saying, yeah, I mean, for all of us, we would have challenges, but at the same time too, even if to make a difference, to help someone in whatever form or capacity, if you could, by all means, because you never know when it will be your turn to need something or to assist in that form. So yeah, basically.
All right, excellent. So which one are you going to do the introduction for me of Playground Rhymes? This is your screen now.
Cleon himself.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is just a teaser. I believe it's just a teaser of Playground Rhymes this Saturday. So if you want more, you know, we know where to be this Saturday, 10th of December. Barcode.
Thanks. Excuse me, Mr. Man. Playground Rhymes. That's why I'm bringing back the Playground Rhymes.
Looking forward to
viewers. The viewers, welcome back this morning to the Tobago Updates morning show. We are chatting this morning with members of the TTPS. We've got ASP Karen Stewart Duncan and the Sergeant Joseph Jordan on the program this morning as we focus on the TTPS's annual variety concert for 2022. Good morning and welcome to you.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
It's always a pleasure to have the TTPS on the program with us this morning. And we focus this morning on the annual variety concert for 2022. Remind us this morning, ASP Stuart Duncan, of what year was the last TTPS concert in Tobago?
That would have been in 2018. Yes, so we didn't have one in 2019, and subsequent to that, there was the COVID. So this particular year, we're looking forward to coming back with a bang, as they would say.
Definitely.
No pun intended.
Okay. Now, let me ask here, would either of you be performing this year for the concert?
Fortunately, no.
I realize, Jordan, you're quiet.
No, I'm not performing. I will just participate in the singing of the national anthem.
But that does not qualify. That does not qualify.
It's participation.
Okay, we'll rest that one. We'll rest
I guess you weren't satisfied with the bad weather we had over the past few weeks.
And do you think that by performing, I'm not gonna go down there. I am not gonna go down that road. All right. Now we're talking about just a few years, and tell us, the excitement that there is to be able to perform once again.
Well, what makes this special for us here in Tobago. It's the only police concert that's going to be happening this year. There's not going to be one in Trinidad. So we want to make sure that, you know, we give people something that they would thirst for in the future, yeah? So we are really excited. We've been working in the background to make sure everything is in place. So we're trusting that everything goes well on Saturday so that we can be able to give you a show, a memorable experience.
All right.
Yeah.
Sergeant, give us an idea of where this is happening.
Okay, so this show is taking place at the Shaw Park Cultural Complex, Main Hall, on Saturday, 7 p.m. We are asking our patrons to be there at 6:45 for seating, so we can start promptly at 7. It's a concert with a variety of artists. We have song, dance, and instrumental. So we're looking forward to presenting a spectacular show to the patrons and to the general public.
Is there a cost attached to this concert?
No, there's never a cost. It's always free. This is the police's way of giving back to the community. So that's why we're encouraging people to come out and, you know, share this experience with us.
Okay, be a part of it. Celebrate. All right, so tell us who will be some of the performers for the concert this year.
Okay, from Tobago we have WPC Lynette Louis. She's one of our frontliners, as we call them. Inspector Mahalia Bacchus. We have Kishon Jack. Kishon Jack has a kind of dual portfolio, if you want to call it that, because he's a Tobagonian, but he's actually part of the police band, so he functions in Trinidad. So you can see he's kind of the Tobago Trinidad representative, if you want to call it that.
Collaboration.
Yeah. We also, starting off to greet our guests, we would have the Mount St. George Police Youth Club drummers, so they are going to be greeted by them at the entrance. So that's just a few persons that the rest we leave for as a surprise.
Surprise, surprise. All right, so what else can you tell us about what's coming up this Saturday? Because already the excitement is building.
Okay, so I realize she's asking
Jordan? Sergeant, tell us some more about the concert this weekend.
All right, as indicated, this concert showcases police officers as well as police affiliates. Right. So, for example, we would have police youth clubs participating, persons who are working with the police service, maybe even a civilian staff. So, what we really want to do is to show the Trinidad and Tobago public what the police can do. As a matter of fact, our theme this year is we come back again, because that would have been as a result of the void left over the last 3 years. So we are going to give the audience a spectacular event. As I said, we will have pan, we'll have saxophonists, we have dancing.
Variety.
As I rightly said, it's a variety show. It doesn't only treat with Christmas.
Right.
So there will be Christmas carols, songs, but there will also be like local calypso and person giving general renditions. So it's a nice mixture to be part of, and we're really looking forward to the public coming out. It will be a treat. We have some surprises in place, so I don't think you would want to miss this.
Now you said it's a time for you to showcase what the police can do, and a song, I was reminded immediately of a song, what the hell the police can do.
Does that show your age?
You know, and I'm going to leave it there. Yeah, it shows my age. It does, because there's some young folks here who have no clue what I'm talking about, but I'm going to leave it there. Remind us of the theme of the concert this year.
We come back again.
Yeah, I'm thinking of another song there, but I'm going to leave it because I'm no singer. I can talk, but I cannot sing. You know, I'll leave it there, certainly. So it starts at 7 p.m. on Saturday evening.
Yes.
And it's all happening at the Shaw Park.
Promptly at 7 p.m.
I need you to say that one more time.
Promptly at 7 p.m.
This is not Tobago time, 7 p.m.
No. 7 p.m.
Because, you know, viewers, 7 p.m., when we say 7 p.m. in Tobago, it usually means starting somewhere around 8 o'clock. But when the ASP says 7 p.m.,
7 p.m.
7
So
p.m.
that's
And
why we're asking people to be seated at 6:45 so that we can start promptly at 7 p.m.
All right. Will there be refreshments on sale?
No.
No. Okay. No refreshments on sale.
Yeah. However, at the dress, a lot of people would ask, semi-formal.
Right. Yes. That's very important to know.
Semi-formal, yeah.
Okay, so put on your nice boots and your pretty dress, but not too fancy because there will be opportunities for you to get up and dance. All right?
Certainly.
So thank you so much for chatting with us this morning.
Thank you again for having us.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
A pleasure. And I can assure the patrons this morning that the environment will be safe. 100% safe.
Guaranteed.
Guaranteed. All right? So again, thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you for having us.
All right, well, viewers, we are going to leave it there. We want to thank you for being with us today. We've got lots more coming up on the program tomorrow. But, you know, we're going to head on over to GMT in just a little bit. And Chanel Felix is going to be taking us through the paces this morning. But have a great day. Stay safe on the roads. And we will see you. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Hey. Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denise. Let's go, go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hail my neighbor. 60,000 people strong, and the vibes is never wrong. We are beauty, we are power. We are people in the sun. We are beaches, we are rivers. We are melanated ones. We special and there is no denying. Tobago is number one.
Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Tobago. I am your host, Chanel Felix. And you guys know how we do it here on GMT. We have that conversation that you want to hear as you start your morning. I mean, this morning, we continue to have discussions on looking back at the last year in office for the current administration. We had concluded our Beneath the Surface series where we spoke to all the representatives and assemblymen and heard from them on how the past year has been. And now we're speaking to a number of stakeholders and really getting to know what you, the public, you know, what are your opinions of that last year in office? A lot has been transpiring recently. And if you guys have been keeping up with the latest headlines within the PDP party, we would have seen a lot of controversy happening there. And there's a lot to discuss regarding that this morning. But this morning, as we get into that conversation, I have the privilege of sitting with one of those distinguished gentlemen in the Tobago political environment in the form of Mr. Reginald Dumas, who is the former permanent secretary in the office of the Prime Minister, also the former head of the public service and former ambassador to Trinidad and Tobago, and a man with more accolades that we have the time to even mention or discuss this morning. But it only makes for an even more fruitful discussion this morning. So welcome, Mr. Dumas, and we are so happy to have you here this morning.
Thank you very much.
With us. We're going to waste no time in getting into what we have been seeing transpiring in the media and in the political environment here in Tobago recently. And in one of your very recent comments within the media space when that whole event transpired between Mr. Duke and the current Chief Secretary, Farley Augustine, with that whole situation with the Roxborough Performing Arts Club in New York, you would have came out and said how much of an embarrassment that is to Tobago, you know, especially from a global perspective. Now that has, you know, rolled down the hill and has become even more than it was then. So what is your opinion on, you know, the type of controversy that would have gathered as time has went by? Well, that was since September, right? Now we're in December. So tell us a little bit.
I'm somewhat more embarrassed.
Oh my.
By what has been happening recently. Mr. Duke has been making a lot of comments, snide remarks, criticisms of Mr. Augustine and others that support Mr. Augustine. I don't think it's helpful to the cause of Tobago or of Trinidad and Tobago, quite frankly, that this kind of language should continue. I don't know why Mr. Duke is doing it, because I don't think he's doing himself any good. And he certainly is not doing Tobago any good. People are either they're looking on with dismay or laughing, quite And remember, we're talking about internal self-government, and people then say, you want internal self-government and you're behaving like this?
Because that would have been my next question. Does this set us back when we start having that discussion
Well,
about Tobago's autonomy?
it is not helpful. It is not helpful to the cause of achieving internal self-government, because people say, and are saying, in fact, that you are not mature enough for this if this is the way you're going to behave in public. So I don't, clearly none of us likes what is going on and what is being said, etc., etc. And we'll see what happens. But I do wish that the temperature could be lowered, that Mr. Duke could refrain from all his remarks, because they're not helpful. They're not helpful to the cause of Tobago, and they're certainly not helpful to Mr. Duke.
And do you think that this was expected? You know, based on what we have seen from the point of the campaign and Mr. Duke putting Farley Augustine kind of before himself and putting him here, there in that position of this is the chief secretary that we are expecting to see in office, right? Is this expected? Did we expect to see something like this coming?
Mr. Duke is a person who is, like a lot of politicians, concerned with his image, himself, his views. And Mr. Augustine was put as deputy political leader and chief secretary. But there's a comment that Mr. Duke made which explained to me what I think he had in mind. Yes, Mr. Augustine would be the chief secretary and he would be the deputy chief secretary. And on the face of it, it looked as though Mr. Augustine was in charge. But then I saw something, this was some months ago, a comment that Mr. Duke made, which was that he expected the Executive Council of the THA to come to the Party Council, the PDP, for guidance on what to do and how to do it, on the basis, he said, of what the people of Tobago had said and what they wished. I'm not sure that the people of Tobago really have consulted. I'm sure that yes. what happened was that promises were made. But whether there was any sit down with the people of Tobago to find out what they wanted, in fact, I don't know. If there were such any conversations, I have not heard. And I think Mr. Augustine didn't see things quite in the same light. So a friction obviously began.
Yeah. So, I mean, many people have said or come out and have the opinion that when Mr. Duke placed Farley in that role, as you said, he kind of expected to lead from behind. And Mr. Augustine, having his own mind, having his own vision for Tobago, got into that position and recognized that certain things needed to be done in a particular way in order for him to basically have that legacy that he is trying to create in transforming Tobago.
Yes. Yes, I think that is what happened. I think that Duke expected that since he was a political leader, and if the Executive Council was going to come to the council of the PDP to ask, and he is the head of the PDP, that in essence he would be giving instructions.
But is it wrong for Mr. Duke to have expected that the current members of the Executive Council, not necessarily to take instructions from the party, but to at least come back to the party and have that dialogue on a more frequent basis with members of the party executive to chart the way forward and work together to push Tobago's agenda?
One has to be very careful. Have you ever heard of the Cabinet of Trinidad and Tobago going to the General Council of the PNM to ask for instructions?
No.
Exactly. So why should it happen in Tobago? Have you heard of this in any other country?
No.
Calling itself democratic? That the government goes to the party to get instructions on what to do? What you're talking about, really, if that happens, is a one-party state. And that is something that I will fight very hard against. What you're talking about is a person saying that the party will give instructions. The party, you have one party. This used to be the case. We don't have it too much anymore. But right after the independence of a lot of African countries in the 1960s, in 1960 actually, when a lot of them joined the United Nations, you had the rise of the one-party state. You had it in Ghana, you had it in Mali, you had it in Guinea, and so on and so on. And the explanation was always the same. It was, you only need one party in the country because you want to gather all the energies and the resources of all the people in one grouping. And that one grouping will be headed by one man. So, who's also head of the party. So, he's the head of government, he's the head of party, he tells you what to do. It's a one-party state because you don't want any other parties. It has not worked. It is not going to work here any more than it worked in West Africa, West and Central Africa. In Ghana now, for instance, you have a multi-party democracy. In Mali, there's still a problem, and there's still a lot of people in that part of Africa that feel they should be totally in charge of things, etc.
And I think that the chief secretary now has that obligation to come to the people and truly explain to them that these are the reasons why it hasn't necessarily worked out, and kind of help them to understand where the expectation and the reality, you know, may have had a clash. Right?
Well, that was why I was interested to hear Mr. Baines talk about full disclosure.
Right, because we hear they have full disclosure tonight at 8 p.m. right here on Tobago Update. So we are looking forward to the full disclosure because we will be talking about it tomorrow.
It'll be very interesting.
It is. It's going to be interesting. And one of the things that we have seen is Mr. Duke talking vehemently about the fact that, you know, after publishing that document and asking the presiding officer to now make those seats vacant, does it expose his ignorance to the THA?
Making the seats vacant?
Yeah, he would have written to the presiding officer yesterday and requested that the 13 seats be made vacant.
I see.
So I am asking if you think that exposes his own ignorance to the THA Act.
Yes, well, I certainly wasn't aware of that.
You did?
But I see nothing in the Act to support such a position.
Well, his argument is that seeing that we have no mechanism to deal with it within the THA Act, we should then point to the standing orders of the House of Representatives, you know, whereby if an elected representative has recused themselves from the party, that they are now obligated to, you know, vacate office.
That is the case in the Constitution, but it applies to the House of Representatives. It does not apply to the THA. I brought the Constitution, if you don't mind,
yes, of course.
So I could read the particular part, which is section 49, that if a member of the House of Representatives shall also vacate his seat in the House where, and there are a number of circumstances where, and one of them is having been a candidate of a party and elected to the House, that's the House of Representatives, not the House of Assembly, he resigns from or is expelled by that party. So that if you're in the House of Representatives, you've been elected on a platform, whatever platform it is, you resign from the party, or you're expelled from the party, you must resign your seat. So far as I know, that does not apply to the THA. Perhaps they should have put this in the Constitution. I don't know at the time that they did it, but they were concentrating on a couple of chaps who had left the PNM and across the floor to the Panday thing. Dr. Griffiths, Rupert Griffiths, and Mr. Vincent Lass, or Dr. Lass. So that the question of resigning from the party or being resigning from the House simply does not arise.
Yes, in the case, and you are echoing the same sentiment that Joy Charles shared yesterday. He said that there's no mechanism, within the THA Act to facilitate such. And I saw that the political leader of the PNM, Ansel Dennis, he also said that there's no legal challenge, but he indicated that there may have been a challenge of integrity and ethics. So that's something that you should, I would like for you to comment on.
That is an interesting, I'm a very cynical old man. And morality, and ethics, and integrity are concepts that I don't easily associate with politicians.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm sorry. And so when I hear about full disclosure, I'm slightly amused because I don't think there's ever going to be full disclosure
in politics
on a number of areas. Okay. I have called publicly, for instance, for an explanation of an investigation of the money paid out, taxpayers' money, to send a group of folk performers to New York, which the THA did some months ago. I have had no response. I would like to hear about contracts awarded for the construction of roads. I have had no response. I would like full disclosure on all of these things, and I would like to hope that in the conversations that you'll be having beginning tonight,
yeah,
yes, and every Thursday, that you all press the politicians to say, well, we want full disclosure on all of these things, because this is taxpayers' money which could be used for education and health and this kind of thing to help Tobago. So, yes, I mean, we will hear about ethics.
Definitely.
And we will hear about morality.
Yes. And question, do you think, I mean, it's only 1 year. Too soon?
Too soon
Is it too soon for what we're seeing happening and unfolding right now?
Well,
or is it better that it happens now and they have another 3 years to fix it and to
They don't have 3 years, they have 1 year. Yes, it's 3 years in the sense that it's a 4-year term.
Yeah.
But if the current lot in the THA, the independents, and we must talk about that too, because it's the first time in my life that I have come across a government of independence, but we can talk about that. If they don't get their act together in 2023, they might as well forget about re-election in 2025 or whenever the election is held.
So we are calling next year the game changer year. Next year
it's a game changer year for 2023, and we'll have to see how they behave.
Now, Mr. Duke said over and over again on his social media that if they don't like the way that he is operating, that they should get out of the party. So do you think he should be as shocked as he is purporting to be
Mr.
now
Duke,
that the resignations have rolled in?
Mr. Duke is full of contradictions. He has said if they don't like it, they should get out. So they get out. And then he says, you betrayed the people. But it was he who said that they should get out.
Correct.
Then he says, you have deserted the people. But it was Mr. Duke who said he's going to run for local government in Trinidad. What about the people who elected him in East Tobago and Roxborough Argyle?
That's a great question.
So,
and we pose that to you guys there on the Facebook comments. Leave your comments. Remember, you are also a part of this conversation. So we are also looking forward to hearing about you. So that's a good question there. He has said that, you know, the current reps have abandoned their post, but he's in Port of Spain.
You can't have it both ways. Indeed, he said also that they have abandoned the people. And then in the same thing that I saw in the press, he says, but they did the honorable thing. Well, I mean, please.
Yeah. One has to laugh, you know, because it really is embarrassing. Let's just put it at that.
It is embarrassing. Now, I have, in my long life, never come across a government of independence.
Yes.
Never. People leave a party, yes. That happens all the time. Across the floor, I mean, in Britain, for instance, I mean, a number of people have recently, within this year, this 2022, have left the Conservative Party and gone over to Labour. 2 or 3 of them. But I have never come across a government of independence. Now, I said to someone several months ago that when this confusion began and this public row and, and all this cussing out, etc., that I expected that the Chief Secretary and those who supported him would leave the PDP and form a new party. They have left the PDP now, 13 of them, right? I am assuming that a new party will be formed. There are those who talk about elections, but clearly, I mean, these are politicians. What are you going to do, run as an independent?
I highly doubt that's what we're going to see.
Because what you have now in the House, in the Tobago House of Assembly, is 13 independents, 1 PDP, Duke, and 1 PNM, Morris. What sense does this make? So if you call an election now, which can happen under the House of Assembly Act, I mean, it lasts for 4 years. If I can find it. Don't see it, but anyway, it goes on for 4 years, unless the Assembly dissolves itself sooner. Okay? Now, the 13 members, they form a massive majority, of course, in the House, and they can decide that they're dissolving the thing and go to elections.
But is that in their favor? What benefit would that be
exactly. To them? From a political point of view, I mean, to talk about ethics and this kind of thing. From a political point of view, what would happen to them? Because you would have 13 independents running against against two parties, really. And since we have become accustomed in this country to party politics, people will tend to gravitate
towards the party.
Yeah. They may elect one or two of the independents because they feel, well, this is a nice fella and you know, he behaved well and he tried to help me in the constituency and I will vote for him as distinct from voting from any representative of either of the other two of the two parties. That might happen. But then another problem arises. What power in a House of Assembly or Parliament, for that matter, does an independent have when you have a number of people who have been elected on the basis of party?
No, to be very honest, I am of the opinion that what is happening with the independents is sort of a placeholder until the new political entity is being formed. So until that is fully established, I believe that now is when they are probably, you know, purporting to be independents now. But we could see in the very near future something being established, because as we know that there is not a culture of voting for independence here in Tobago,
that's right.
in Trinidad.
Or in Trinidad. I mean, they may well have decided already what
to
their
do
party
that, yes,
is,
and while it's being
and
done,
only waiting to
correct.
You know, exactly.
That's how I see it playing out as well.
But I
Those are my predictions.
How they can move forward as 13 independents.
And with that being said, what is the likelihood that a new political entity, regardless of the fact that it would be, you know, outfitted with members that are already in the executive council, could see a victory in their first go in an election come 2025?
People tend to have relatively short memories, not only in this country, but generally. And that's why I mentioned earlier, 2023, next year, is a key year for the politicians here. If a new party is formed, as I expect a new party will be formed, maybe has been formed already or will shortly be announced, I don't know. And that party really does what was promised by the PDP, for instance. Fale Augustine said some time ago that no major decision will be taken in Tobago without consultation, and we get everything from the people, etc. I haven't heard of any consultation, quite frankly.
I mean, and we saw the announcement of a possible hotel going to happen.
We hear about a hotel in Kilgwin. I don't know what this means. What does this mean environmentally at a time of climate change, when you have sea level rise? It's like a stage in the sea. The sea is coming in. What impact does this have down the coast in terms of tides and currents, when that side of Tobago, this is western side, is being eroded already, as we know?
Yes. And you are one of the members of the Tobago Council of Elders. Does Dr. Vanas James also sit on that council?
No, he doesn't.
He does not sit on that council. Okay. But regardless of that, in a recent news interview on TV6, he indicated that in retrospect, looking back at the first year in office, he gives them a failing grade, an F. What grade would you give the current administration for the past year?
On a scale of what to what?
Well, we're on a scale of A to F because he already gave an F. So let's stick to the same scale that he used.
No, I wouldn't give them an F, but I wouldn't give them a very high grade either. There has been, in my view, and I have expressed this view on more than one occasion, a relative absence of coherence. There's been a lot of talk, but I don't see policies. I hear reference to policies, but I don't see the actual policy. For instance, just take the example of this group going to New York, these four performance. I am not objecting, and I will not object either, to a government assisting a group to go and do something on behalf of Tobago that will enhance the position of Tobago abroad or at home, as the case may be. But there must be a policy. You can't have a situation, yes, you can't have a situation simply in which people go to the THA and say, look, I've taken 30 people to New York. How much you could give me? That's not a policy. If you have a policy for assistance, what is that policy? And that is what I've been asking for.
Exactly. What percentage of the bill does the THA fit? And what is the criteria
and why?
to get? Yes.
What are the benefits to Tobago?
Correct.
You have to look at all of that. That has not been done.
But you saying that you would not give them a very high grade. But the question has to be asked, on what scale is this judgment being made? And is it being, and is this scale, is it the same across the board? Are we also holding the previous administration to the same standard that we are now holding this new administration to?
We have to hold all the administrations to the same standard. We're talking about Tobago. We're not talking about party politics here.
But on what scale are we giving our judgment of the first year in office? What scale are we using to demonstrate success or failure?
On the basis of what was said, what was promised by the party, and especially by the Chief Secretary. If we just take the issue of consultation, we are going to consult with people before we do anything positive or anything like this. We're going to speak to the people of Tobago. We're going to hear what they have to say, and then we're not necessarily going to agree with everything that the people. You can't, obviously, and there will be good reasons why you can't agree with everything. But you're going to consult. You're going to hear what the communities have to say, etc., etc. As far as I know, this has not happened, and therefore, you have said something, but you have not done any follow-up on it. You have not done anything about it. What I am seeing is announcements of things to be done, that we will promise this, we're promising this, and we will do this, and we will do that, but we're not doing it. You announced an hotel in Kilgwin. Why? Whom have you consulted on this to find out whether this is environmentally feasible? What people do you know? Do you know that what market are you targeting? A lot of people are not, and this is something we seem to have difficulty understanding in the Caribbean. A lot of people that come in, the visitors that come in from North America or Europe or wherever, are not concerned with sea and sand. A lot of them want to go into the bush. They want to go trails. They want to see birds. They want to see a glimpse of an agouti. They want to see a kokriko. Oh, yeah, and certainly they will hear them. They're all over the place. When they're in town now, you don't have to go into the bush for that. They're in my yard. And so on and so on. So you have to target your markets. You can't just jump up and
I
say,
believe
I'm going to do such and such.
within the last trade show that we saw there in London, right? The World Trade Market. The chief secretary, he indicated that what he is selling in regards to Tobago is an unspoiled product, and they are looking to, pay more attention to that eco offering that we have here in Tobago. So I don't know, we don't know, because a lot was not said about what this Killigrew Hotel is going to be exactly. So we don't know if we're going to see somewhat of a eco resort, some level of environmental sustainability being focused on in that.
And that is why I said there must be consultation. You can't just announce. You see, you have to talk first.
Understood.
You're doing this to earn income for Tobago. You can't just get up and say, I am going to do such and such. Why are you going to do it? How are you going to do it? Over what period of time are you going to do it?
And that is understood. However, a number of the candidates that came and they sat here and spoke beneath the surface, including the chief secretary himself, would have indicated that that first year for them kind of functioned as a cleanup, in a sense.
Clean up what?
The cleanup campaign. As they went in, they had to clean up the THA from all the mess that they went in there to face. So can we give them that? Can we say, okay, we understand that within this first year in office, you guys, the focus was on planning and cleaning up what you met there. Hopefully, in the next year, we could see an execution stage.
I don't know what cleanup means. I would have to hear from
the chief secretary
person
himself.
who said it, or what it means from Mr. Augustine. He did announce that there would be a forensic audit, because that needed cleaning up of what the people had been doing before, the PNM had been doing before. They'd been doing all kinds of unfortunate things, and that there was going to be a forensic audit to a number of areas. And subsequently, I think he announced or gave a statement in the House on one part of the audit that already, a report that had already been presented. At the same time, however, we have been hearing about contracts being awarded for road construction. And we do not know the process by which these awards have been given. We do not know the track records of the companies to which these contracts have been awarded. I have been on the website of one of the companies to see what services this company offers. And I have seen no mention whatsoever of road construction.
But wasn't that the roofing and construction company that I believe Assemblyman James would have clarified that they are both a roofing and construction company?
They're both a roofing and construction company, but they're constructing buildings, not roads. We're talking about a road construction company. We hear about a contract being awarded within 24 hours of the approach by the company. How is this possible? Where is the due diligence? When was it done? You can't do that in 24 hours. What is the financial standing of this company? What work has it done for others of the same kind? Have you checked with the other people for whom it has done this work to see what kind of work it has done? You're spending taxpayers' money.
And these are all reasonable questions to be asked. And I believe that several of these questions were asked to the Assemblyman, and he would have had his time to answer, even here, right here on Tobago Updates during our Good Morning beneath the service. He would have responded to a number of your questions. But a lot of them have spoken about having to go into the divisions and clean up the mess that was there.
I do not understand what this means. You see, you will say, I am going to clean up the mess. I remember the NAR when it came in 1986. I remember a senior official, not in the government, but someone being brought in, using the phrase, "We have come to clean the stables."
Right. And I believe that when they talk about cleaning up, I believe in a lot of the divisions, you see an absence of strategic planning, right? So when they talk about cleaning up, they go in and they have to implement these things. There were some practices in there that they may have met that were quite questionable, right?
This is extremely possible. I'm not saying it didn't exist. It's extremely possible that this is what was happening, that there wasn't the planning, there wasn't the thing, that things were being done more on a political level than anything else. That is all possible. If you are saying that you did all that and you cleaned up, show me. Tell me what was there and tell me what you have done.
And this is where that audit comes in.
Exactly.
This is where the audit comes in.
Don't come and tell me, I want somebody else to go in and do this. I want an impartial body to go in. For you to come and tell me, I have cleaned up the mess, that doesn't tell me anything at all. I first want to know what the mess was. And I want to know how you cleaned it up and in what way and what have you put in place.
Yeah, exactly, to ensure that we no longer find ourselves in the same mess in the future.
That's right.
Now, the Chief Secretary hinted to possibly restructuring or reshuffling his current executive council. Many speculations are happening. Do you have any speculations?
No, I won't speculate on that.
But do you, can you possibly see him maybe shifting his own himself? Because I could possibly see him removing himself from that role as the finance secretary. We don't know who he will put there, but I could see him functioning as a better chief secretary by possibly removing himself from the role of finance secretary and being able to fully function as the chief secretary. What do you think?
He's not going to move himself. He can't move himself anyway. He's been elected as chief secretary.
No, not as chief secretary, as the secretary for finance.
Oh, I see what you mean.
He's in the division of
yes,
finance.
this is possible. You can bring in someone as a secretary. You can bring someone from outside as secretary for finance. People reshuffle. Governments reshuffle all the time. You may not be a major reshuffle, but I mean, it is something. It is for him, on the basis of what he has seen of the performance of his people over the last year, to decide whether X is suitable for this portfolio or not.
Yeah.
Or whether X is suitable at all.
Right.
For any portfolio.
Right.
And then decide what he does. So I can speak in general terms, but I wouldn't want to speculate
on anything. Yeah. I mean, but can you see this reshuffling process possibly causing some level of contention, especially with this new formation of independence, whereby we could possibly see a political split coming in the future if members are possibly not satisfied with the reshuffling?
It could happen. And remember, we're talking independence. If you're a body of independence, even if you've signed a letter saying I support the chief secretary, you're still independent.
Correct.
And an independent can get up one morning and say, I ain't doing that. That is not suitable for my constituency. What I am going to do is X and Y. Then what? Where is, to use the phrase that is used in Parliament, where is the party whip? There's no party. Therefore, there can be no whip. So, yes, I mean, you can have all that. And that is why I am assuming
that a party is
going to be formed.
Yeah. Because it is possible that we could even see a split among the 13. That is something that we can see. If they remain independent.
Yes, or even if they don't, I mean, some people will be unhappy. Well, this happens all the time. It's not peculiar to the THA. Unhappy with their portfolios. We put may ever.
Correct. If this reshuffling doesn't go well.
If the reshuffling doesn't go well. Why? I don't want to be.
I was good where I was all the time.
I was good where I was all the time, and you put me. So I'm not going to exert myself.
So does the chief secretary have an even more difficult challenge on his hand now, managing independent representatives as opposed to what we would have seen before?
I would think so. If the independents decide to act up, or any of the independents decides to act up, yes, he could have a more difficult situation. And that is another reason why I think he will hasten to announce the formation of a a new party. You cannot have a government of independence. It's a contradiction in terms. We are going back to what we used to have in the colonial days, where every fellow there in the Legislative Council, as it used to be called at the time, had his own party. Roy Joseph had his own party before your time. Albert Gomes, Cipriani, Butler, they all had parties. But what did it mean? And they sat there in the Legislative Council. Mind you, the governor, because we were still a colony, the governor could override whatever. The president, at the present moment, cannot override anything. I mean, she has to sign whatever is put before her. It's the prime minister who is in charge. So yes, you can have all these difficulties, but let us hope. Let us hope, and let us hope that clear policies and clear communication with the people, the communities, not merely the constituencies, but the community as a whole, the village and community councils and so on. Let us hope that we're going to see more of that
coming forward. As they, what are they calling this evening? We are going to see full disclosure.
Full disclosure.
Full disclosure.
It strikes me as a contradiction in terms when you're talking about a politician to give full disclosure. That generally doesn't happen. They will give you partial disclosure.
But we have to look at the fact that we have a very unique situation here in Tobago, especially having one of the youngest chief secretaries ever. Newly married, new family being formed, expecting a baby on the way, all of that, trying to manage and balance all of that on his plate.
He has problems.
So,
yes.
Do you think possibly a move of removing himself from being the Secretary for Finance can assist him with better functioning in the role of Chief Secretary?
It could help, yes. If he doesn't have a portfolio at all, it could help.
Do you think him currently functioning in the role as Chief Secretary and Finance Secretary is indicative of a person who probably has some trust issues, or, you know, maybe doesn't see members among his team that could function in that portfolio? Because for a Chief Secretary to also function as the Chief Secretary and the Finance Secretary, those are two huge portfolios.
They're two huge portfolios, but I have been told that someone at the beginning was offered the post of Secretary of Finance and declined.
Okay.
So that the Chief Secretary took it on himself. It's a key portfolio, naturally, a very sensitive portfolio, because that's where the money is, and that's where you have to keep an eye on things to see how the money is being spent. It's extremely important. It is possible if he removed himself and gave himself no portfolio at all.
And just function as the Chief
Just
Secretary.
function as the Chief Secretary and having an overall look at everything on a continuing basis, not only during the meetings of the Executive Council. It is possible that, and as you say, with all the difficulties that he has with a new baby on the way, which must be difficult for him, you know, because he has his work and he has home, and
then he has his constituents.
Yes, he has his constituency, etc. So he's a young man, yes, but it has to be difficult for him. So I understand that, and it might be better if he gave himself no portfolio at all, but he would have to find someone in whom he reposes a large degree of confidence and trust.
Trust, exactly.
For that post of Secretary for Finance.
And I mean, you have seen politicians come and go, and you have made several recommendations over the years, and your contributions has played a huge role in political discourse locally, nationally, and maybe even throughout the region, right?
Take me on,
right? So as we move forward, and we look forward to, as you said, 2023 is the game changer year. It's
That is my view.
or die.
Yes.
Right? It's the decision
That's
made.
my view for them.
What is your recommendation for this administration going forward?
Well, one recommendation that springs immediately to mind is consultation. Politicians, in my experience, they get elected, they come to ask you to vote for them. You vote for them or not, but they're elected. As soon as they're elected and they get into office and they get a title, suddenly you see a change. They start getting, a little aloof. I actually heard a politician, a former minister, say, "Do you know who I am?" If I hadn't heard it with my own 2 ears, I wouldn't have believed it. He wasn't saying it to me, but and that is the kind of attitude that you get far too often. I would want to suggest to the administration for 2023 that it start consulting with people, the people of Tobago. Meet them on a community basis, and so on, etc. They tend not to consult. I believe I have a representative where I live, but I have not seen or heard of this representative since she was elected.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying she must come to my house and ask me for my views, clearly not. But what I do expect is that every so often, every few months or so, every 3 months or so, every 6 months, that there is a meeting of the area, for people to come and say, well, look, such and such, we think that such and such should happen, because people also have ideas. People are not only asking you to help them. There was one secretary recently, I understand, who says that asked people to give her a knees up because they were calling her at 6:30 in the morning, which I found astonishing. I understand how she feels. I mean, that people are asking you for things all the time, but the point is that you ask the people to vote for you. And if the people now say, well, how can you help? Because you said you were going to help them. How can you now turn around and say, you are bothering me?
But if we could recall, during the campaign, the chief secretary, he would have presented a social contract and had all the assemblymen sign on to it,
right,
which also indicated there was a line item there that spoke about consistent communication with members of the community.
Absolutely.
And Mr. Duke would have highlighted it as well last week when he had a mandate Monday, and he spoke about the secretaries or the current assemblyman violating the social contract by means of not having
yes,
those public
Mr.
consultations.
Duke has also wanted to Trinidad to say that he wants to run with local government elections to become an alderman.
True. True.
So if he can't point fingers at anybody to say that they have violated the social contract, what has he done? So
yes.
You understand?
It's hard to take any. You have to take what Mr. Duke said a pinch of salt.
When we talk about full disclosure,
disclosure.
There are too many contradictions. So I would start with communication. You asked me what I would do in this next year. I would start with communication.
Communication and consultation.
I would look at policy, work out policies for various things. I would look at coherence, because there's this feeling, especially if you call yourself independent, that people live in silos. That there's this constituency here and there's that constituency there, and so on and so on, and they're not speaking to each other. Whereas you might have a road, for instance, just to take an example, running in both constituencies. So you really should have the two representatives sitting down with the people of the constituencies to say, well, how can we do that? That's right, so that we have coherence.
Yes.
Okay? We have to look very much at climate change, especially with a vulnerable island like Tobago, vulnerable to currents, vulnerable to sea movements, as we've been seeing already, with the erosion around the coast that it's happening in Trinidad as well, I know, but we're talking about here. And I would want to look at those things. I would want to have, they have a budget. They have reworked the budget because they didn't get the money that they asked for. Fair enough. That shows good common sense that, okay, I only got so much of what I wanted, so let us see how I spend this lesser amount. That made sense, very much sense. I would like to see more emphasis on education and the kind of education that we should get in this country, not only Tobago, the whole country. The kind of education that we do get is defective because we train people to pass exams. We have therefore to look at if you're looking at Tobago, the Tobago society, to see what do we need in this society. We talk about agriculture. What are the crops? What is the nature of the soils? How do we go about doing it? People talk about export this and export that, and you have an export market. Have you checked out where you're going to export what and you're going to export? Have you made any attempt to see what the export market that you say you want, in fact, wants? And so on and so on. So in other words, there has to be more coherence. And there has to be, if not full disclosure, disclosure to the extent possible, which would satisfy the people of Tobago.
So greater transparency.
That's right.
Mr. Dumas, I personally wish that we had more time for this interview because I feel like the conversation was only getting better. Now, you spoke, you gave your grade, you gave your analysis, you gave your view on everything that is happening. But for you, what has this administration, before you go, done correctly?
What has it done correctly? Well, it has given a budget which set out certain policies. I think that was correct. I'm not sure that the policies have been adhered to, but at least an attempt was made in the budget statement to set out what the administration would like to do for Tobago. I think that was a good thing. What has not been good is that I have not seen any adherence to these policies that have been set out. I think that there must be more focus on the people of Tobago and the position of Tobago, the situation of Tobago in the general scheme of things, not only in the Caribbean, but also in the world.
From a global perspective.
If you are talking about bringing people into Tobago, tourists from outside and visitors from outside, you have to look at what kind of visitors you want and what it is you have to offer. That means linkages with the tourism sector, not merely the government or the administration tourism, but the private sector tourism sector, more linkages with business. If you're talking about agriculture, then there has to be, again, a look at what is it you want to produce, because at the moment, with all the rain and floods and so on that we've had, the price of everything has gone sky high. And Tobago has been, which used to produce things, used to be the breadbasket for Trinidad, now is importing or has been importing things from Trinidad, which in turn imports from St. Vincent and Grenada. We can't continue like that. So I think they have to sit down very quickly at the beginning of 2023, in January, first 2 weeks of January, and try to work out a plan of action, which I have not seen, a plan of action. And transparency, as you say, with contracts, etc., because with the contracts in particular, what is being said is not pleasant in terms of why some people got contracts to build roads. I see you smiling. So
I'm smiling because I wish we could have gone on for longer, but I know that we have to wrap up this morning, right? So, Mr. Reginald Dumas, again, thank you so much for joining us, and I hopefully that we can have part 2 of this conversation. What do you think? You think part 2 is needed?
We'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for sharing your comments, your likes. And remember that tomorrow morning we are going to be here. However, Candice Jackson is going to be hosting tomorrow, so we look forward to you joining us for another episode of Good Morning Tobago. Again, thank you. I am Chanel Felix, and we have Mr. Reginald Dumas here this morning, and we had an excellent conversation. Thank you again for watching Tobago. We thank you.
Yeah. Hey.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denise.
Let's go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning as the passion start to